यमुना तेरा बनचारे यमुना तेरा बनचारे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारे जय प्रभुपदा 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 प्रभुपा 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 जय प्रभुपा निताय गौर हरिब 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 गौर हरिब श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन याज्ञ की जय श्री श्री राधा माधव सख्य वृंद गिरिराज गौरदांग की जय श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय श्री श्री पंचतत्व की जय श्री श्री प्रहलाद सिंहदेव की जय दिव्यांग ग्रेस भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय All glories to the assembled devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksharanmiritam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Budaya Mahatpriyaya Mahapuro Viburnirmaya Kshete Adamusha Purusha Punkte Gunan Sadasa Sadasatmaka Lankrishishta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me Hare Krishna. So with the blessings of all the present Vaishnavas, especially very senior Vaishnavas, Prabhupada disciples, it always feels embarrassing to sit at a high seat in front of so many exalted personalities. But yeah, your blessings is my only hope. So we will continue reading from the Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 5, texts 9 and 10. So text 10 is on board because it has purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll read text 9 and then we'll chant text 10 responsively. Gopyascha karnya mudita yashodaya suto bhavam atmanam bhushayam chakrur Vastra kalpan janadibi. The gopi wives of a cowherd man were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Please repeat. Nava kunkuma kinjalka. Nava kunkuma kinjalka. Mukha pankaja bhutayah. Mukha pankaja bhutayah. Balibhistvaritam jagmu. Balibhistvaritam jagmu. Prithu shunyas chalatkucha. Prithu shunyas chalatkucha. Navakunkuma kinjalka. Mukha pankaja bhutayah. Balibhistvaritam jagmu. Prithu shunyas chalatkucha. Please. Ladies, please. Nava kunkuma kinjalka with saffron and newly grown kunkuma flower. Mukha pankaja bhutayah, exhibiting an extraordinary beauty in their lotus-like faces. Balibi, with presentations in their hands. Tvaritam, very quickly. Jagmoho went to the house of Mother Yashoda. Prithu Shonya, bearing full hips, fulfilling womanly beauty. Chalat Kuchaha, their developed breasts were moving. So we will read translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And you probably already felt it's very appropriate verse for sannyasi to read. Translation: Their lotus-like faces, extraordinarily beautiful, being decorated with saffron and newly grown kunkuma, the wives of the cowherd men hurried to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried alone. Purport: The cowherd men and women in the villages lived a very natural life, and the women developed a natural feminine beauty with full hips and breasts. Because women in modern civilization do not live naturally, their hips and breasts do not develop this natural fullness. Because of artificial living, women have lost their natural beauty, although they claim to be independent and advanced in material civilization. This description of the village woman gives a clear example of the contrast between natural life and the artificial life of a condemned society, such as that of the Western countries, where topless, bottomless beauty may be easily purchased in clubs and shops and for public advertisements. The word Bali Bhi indicates that the women were carrying gold coins, jeweled necklaces, nice clothes, newly grown grass, sandalwood pulp, flower garlands, and similar offerings on plates made of gold. Such offerings are called Bali. The words Tvaritam Jagmu indicate how happy the village women were to understand that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a wonderful child, known as Krishna. Gopyascha karnya mudita yashodaya suto bhavam atmanam bhushayam chakrur vastra kalpan janadibi. The Gopi wives of the cowherd men were very pleased to hear that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a son, and they began to decorate themselves very nicely with proper dresses, ornaments, black ointment for the eyes, and so on. Nava kunkuma chikinjalka mukha pankaja bhutayaha balibis tvaritam jagmu pritu shondyas chalat kucha. Their lotus-like faces, extraordinarily beautiful, being decorated with saffron and newly grown kunkuma, the wives of the cowherd men hurried to the house of Mother Yashoda with presentations in their hands. Because of natural beauty, the wives had full hips and full breasts, which moved as they hurried alone. So this is the description of what was happening immediately after Krishna's appearance, birth of the unborn. And so everyone is happy because Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are king and queen of Vrindavan, and they had a son, actually first time, their firstborn, and they were quite old already, so that's quite a happy occasion, and everyone went very quickly to congratulate them and give a lot of gifts to them and to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada explains, actually Bhagavatam explains how opulent, healthy and happy everyone was in Vrindavan. And he explains that this is the contrast between natural life and artificial life of the modern civilization. And we might think that city life is bad and village life is very good. But unfortunately, Kali Yuga is influencing everything, everywhere. And I come from Russia, and city life, village life in Russia means drinking non-stop and fighting. This is what they do in Russia. So it's not exactly spiritual. And unfortunately, all over the world, things are really degrading. And even in India, we can see village people, they try to imitate Western countries so hard. I mean, just because they want maximum profit from their land, they put so much pesticides and fertilizers in the soil that actually all this poison goes through the soil and goes into the underground waters and poisons everything. I mean, so many people die from arsenic, for example. Water poisoned with arsenic, getting sick, etc., etc. And village people in India might be seemingly very humble and very simple and very respectful, but this is only until they get little wealth and little position, and then all this humility and simplicity goes out of the window. So we can understand that it's not village as opposed to city, but it's materialism as opposed to spiritual life. It's Krishna consciousness, which is the solution to all types of problems. Of course, it's very interesting that Srila Prabhupada did emphasize towards the end of his manifested pastimes simple living and high thinking, and he suggested that devotees move into the rural setting rather than staying in the city. And so sometimes devotees think that this is the solution. If we don't stay in the city, if we go to the farms, then we will become Krishna conscious. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as it sounds. Of course, village life as opposed to city life is supposed to be simple living, high thinking, and city life, as my spiritual master says, very complicated living with no time to think at all. And so, but yeah, I mean, the attempts which are going on for more than 50 years to fulfill that instruction of Srila Prabhupada meets with many challenges for quite a simple reason, because our majority of our preaching effort is focused on big cities, and then we try to encourage city dwellers to turn into farmers, which is very difficult for them. I heard a comment from one very senior Prabhupada disciple who tried that for many, many years. Couple of decades he tried that, living on the farm, and then he gave up, and then he went back to the city, and he said, for me, simple living means to have a proper plug where I can plug in my computer. So, and so we can understand that there is little more than just moving from the city to the village, to the farm, which will actually help us to advance in our Krishna consciousness. We require a little bit more thinking effort to understand how do we actually implement Srila Prabhupada's vision. And yeah, some devotees do achieve some success with that already, especially in regards to understanding what is the best formula for cow protection. I mean, one of them is Ajita Prabhu. He is my old friend who is heading the New Govardhan community in Australia. And he shared his discovery here. What does it mean to properly protect cows that there are three things which are really important for our sustenance, and that is cows, forest, and soil. And he said all these three have to work together in order to actually give the benefit. And any of these separate will not give the desired result, because the forest has to be maintained properly so that it would actually extract carbon from the air. The cows have to be grazed in a very scientific way so that they would fertilize the soil, restore the soil, but do not destroy the soil by abusing the pasturing ground. So cows have to be moved in a regular way to make sure that they take enough for the soil to, rejuvenate and not to destroy it. And when you have fertile soil constantly restored, then there is no need of any fertilizers, and the food can be very, very healthy, naturally organic, etc. And then the cows are happy because they have variety of food for themselves, not just little hay or same grass. I mean, we would also be bored if we would only have one type of food for weeks and months and years. So the cows also like variety. And so happy cows give plenty of milk, etc. So in this way, actually, they even have a scientific term for this kind of agriculture, holistic approach. And so, yeah, he shared his latest discovery that this is what gives the solution, because the only reason for people to be into cow protection is when they will realize that cow is very, very profitable. They can make tons of money out of the cow without killing the cow. Then the whole world will be into cow protection. And actually, if you do it right, this will be the result. That cow will be source of wealth, source of prosperity, and this is what Bhagavatam is describing. How much wealth, how much opulence Brajabasis had, and Mayapur is a natural place for that, because we have, this is the place of Gaur Anga Mahaprabhu. Anga means limbs or body, and Gaur means gold. Golden avatar. Naturally, he is the source of all opulence, because he's Radha and Krishna combined. And which particular forms of Radha and Krishna? Radha, Madhava. And who is Madhava? Ma means Mother Lakshmi, and Dhava means husband. So Krishna is the husband of Mother Lakshmi. And so, yes, this is what real Krishna consciousness is supposed to be giving. This is how real Krishna consciousness is supposed to be. Source of all opulences. For everyone, abundance of everything desirable. That's why the very last verse of Bhagavad Gita clearly says, Yatra Yugeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, in there will always be Shri, opulence, Vijaya, victory, Bhuti, extraordinary influence, and Niti, morality or purity. So naturally, the Supreme Lord is always accompanied by all the opulences. And we can see how everyone in the modern world is so focused on opulences. Of course, Western countries are getting more opulence, And so India is thinking, okay, we should follow the West to get the same opulences. But unfortunately, those opulences Western countries are enjoying, they're all stolen goods. These opulences are acquired by criminal means, breaking the laws of God. And it's a fact. If you want to get rich quick, become very wealthy in no time, I mean, statistically speaking, what is the most profitable business ever on planet Earth? The business which gives $1,000 return for each dollar invested. Drugs. Drug trafficking. So why not? Everybody wants money, why not everyone is doing that business? Because most people realize you cannot really become happy by making other people miserable. That's criminal activity. But to greater or lesser degree, the entire Western world is a criminal world. And that's why they have so much money. Because the biggest money is produced by sinful activity. And unfortunately, because in India many people are not educated, they don't understand that this quick wealth is coming due to sinful activity, means criminal activity. But criminal activity, okay, you may have a lot of money for some time, but then, as Prabhupada says, criminal at one point will definitely be caught and punished. And so that's why there is so much misery accompanying that sinful wealth as well. But Krishna consciousness is giving real solution. It gives real wealth, which comes from natural life, natural relationship, and that is followed by inspiration, and all the desires become fulfilled in a natural way without having to go into any sinful activity. And that's why Srila Prabhupada established the very first purpose of ISKCON. It is very ambitious. One devotee mentioned that this is Prabhupada's vision, first purpose, and all the remaining purposes are mission. In other words, the first purpose is the goal, and other purposes are the means, how do we achieve that goal? But that goal, that purpose is very ambitious. Prabhupada was mentioning that my only problem in life that I could never think small. I was always thinking big, and so this is really big vision. To systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and achieve real unity and peace in the world. And we can understand that real unity and peace in the world can only be achieved if everyone is really happy in Krishna consciousness or practicing the spiritual tradition. Interestingly enough, one senior devotee mentioned that the first purpose of ISKCON does not specify any religious affiliation whatsoever. Doesn't even mention the word God, what to speak of Krishna, because devotees will never be in majority. Talking about serious devotees especially, because as Prabhupada mentions, that if you sell diamonds, you cannot expect too many people lining up to buy them. But if you sell cheap imitations, everyone will want to buy. Why not many people can buy diamonds? Because it's very expensive. So in order to really practice Krishna consciousness, people have to pay very high price. I mean, 16 rounds and 4 Agota principles. This is just the entry level. What to speak of everything else? I mean, reading all Prabhupada's books, and once you finished, go back again and start from the beginning. And sadhana and service, and you should be chanting not just 16 rounds, but Kirtanya, Sadahari, always chant, etc., etc. So it's like beyond imagination, all these spiritual standards. And how many people are fortunate enough to be able to follow those. So devotees will always be, rare souls. Manushanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati sidaye. Yatatamapi sidanam kaschin mambete tatvataha, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, that of so many thousands of men, very few strive for perfection, and of all those who achieve perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. But interesting point connected to this analogy, and whenever Prabhupada was giving analogy, it's always very deep, that even though not everybody can purchase diamonds, naturally, because not everybody has so much money, but you can hardly find one person on earth who does not understand the value of diamonds. So, and this is the main thing connected to that analogy, that yes, not everyone would be able to follow the standards devotees follow, but what we want is that every single person on earth would appreciate devotees to such an extent that he or she would say, yes, one day it is my dream to live like these people. It's like one friend of mine, Parabhakti Prabhu from Villa Vrindavana, he's very seriously focusing on public relations, I mean communications. And one person he developed very nice relationships with is home minister of Italy. And as a result of that, one day, that man, he was going somewhere and he saw Harinam party. And he filmed it, he made a short video clip, and then he published it on his personal Facebook. But in a very short time, hundreds of thousands and then millions of people saw that video clip, and in there, he's just showing Harinam party passing by, but then he made a comment in Italian language that these are the best people I know, and if I would have to take birth again, I want to become a Hare Krishna also. So this is what we need, to impress everyone with Krishna consciousness to such an extent that regardless of whether people will be able or not to follow what we follow, but we want everyone to really have high appreciation for Krishna consciousness. And of course, that will automatically be connected to high appreciation for Krishna. And if people will be appreciating Krishna and devotees, there is no doubt that they will be advancing spiritually very quickly. So, reputation is really, really important factor. And of course, to help the whole world to advance spiritually. And I was thinking about one very powerful verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. And this verse, coming in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, is very closely connected to the first purpose of ISKCON, to Srila Prabhupada's vision, because this is also desire of Prahlad Maharaj. So he says, Svasti astu yat kalam prasidatam dayanti bhutani shivami thodiya manascham badram bhajatat adokshaje abeshyatam namatir apyahaytuki. So he says, Svasti astu vishvasakala prasidatam. Let there be auspiciousness for the whole world. Kala prasidatam, and let all the envious people become pacified. Let people become free from envy, because envy is the biggest problem in the world, right? Dayanti bhutani shivami thodiya. Instead of being envious of each other, let them think of each other's welfare. Instead of thinking, how can I get something for myself? How can I be happy? Let them think, how can I make those whom I am associating with happy? How can I make others happy? Manascha bhadram bhajata dadokshache. Let everything beneficial be in their minds and hearts by bhajatat, by devotional service, by worshipping whom? Adokshaja. Very interesting that he uses this name Adhokshaja. And what is the name Adhokshaja means? Adhokshaja. One who is beyond, like you have Sanskrit alphabet, first and last letter of Sanskrit alphabet, and so Adhokshaja means the Supreme Lord is not describable by any characters of Sanskrit, so he's beyond perception of the mind and senses. So he's totally transcendental, inconceivable Supreme Lord. So really, name Adhokshaja can refer to absolutely any form of the Supreme Lord. And so, people worshipping so many forms. And Prahlad Maharaj says it doesn't matter. As long as they worship the Supreme Lord, that's good for them. And aveshyatam namatirapya haituki. And then they will develop that selflessness, ahaituki. They will become selfless. So this is what Prahlad Maharaj is praying for. And we can understand that this is the only possibility to achieve real unity and peace in the world, when we will have maximum number of perfect devotees who help the whole world to develop that unity and who can help people to live peaceful lives, practicing not even necessarily Krishna consciousness, but at least some form of spirituality. Because it's very interesting, especially like in the Western countries, there are so many devotees who join Krishna consciousness by having experience of some other spiritual practices. I mean, that's very much applicable to myself. Before Krishna consciousness, I was practicing few other spiritual paths and studying few other spiritual paths, and I was wondering, for how many of you, that's also relevant, how many of you were practicing something spiritual but not Krishna consciousness per se before you joined the movement? So we can see it's quite typical. But if you're serious and sincere in any spiritual practices, finally you will come to Krishna, and lives of so many devotees are the proof of that point. And that's why Prabhupada says we don't need to encourage people to change their religion. We just need to encourage people to become serious in what they are practicing now. And they will definitely advance spiritually. And so that's why very interesting point is brought up in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And few days ago it was read out, that specific passage from Srila Prabhupada's purport. He speaks about Dadichi Muni and his self-sacrifice, attitude which allowed him to give up his life for the sake of benefiting others. And then Prabhupada says that we need many intelligent men and women who would be ready to sacrifice he says, Krishna consciousness movement needs many intelligent men and women who would be ready to sacrifice their lives for establishing God consciousness in the world. And then he repeats pretty much the same thing in the next sentence also. He says, Krishna consciousness movement is meant to establish God consciousness in the world. So he makes that clear-cut distinction that, okay, we are Krishna conscious, but our mission is to establish God consciousness in the world. And so I think the more devotees will realize that, the sooner we can achieve the first purpose of ISKCON, which at the moment appears to be unattainable. Okay, so I wanted to stop here, and yes, Nrsingatirtha Prabhu. Do we have microphone? Thank you. If you can pass it all the way back. Okay, if you can say loudly, it's fine. Oh, you don't, your voice.
You were making the point that one of the aims of this movement is to spread God consciousness, which means that we need to encourage people in whatever paths they're on to become serious.
Okay.
There are many traditions, even established traditions.
Okay.
Practices are actually intuitively simple.
Mm-hmm.
So some paths require
Yes.
practitioners to kill animals.
Okay.
How do we encourage that?
Yes. So how do we discriminate between spiritual and non-spiritual path? Because some people follow traditions which encourage animal killing, etc. So Srila Prabhupada made it very clear for us already in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that there is Dharma, and Dharma is consisting of 4 pillars: Satya, Daya, Tapa, Shuchi. So Satya means truthfulness, Daya means mercy, Tapa means austerity or self-control, and Shuchi means cleanliness. And so these 4 pillars of Dharma can be found in any religious tradition. And yes, that most of the traditions, unfortunately, they really missing Daya, that compassion is really missing. Many traditions, they kill animals, and as a result, they kill each other and kill other people also. Because the famous author, Leo Tolstoy, he said, as long as there are slaughterhouses, the wars will never stop. So these 2 things are connected. Violence produces violence. And Srila Prabhupada was saying actually, as Abhiram Prabhu, Prabhupada's personal nurse, he remembers, he said, towards the end of his stay, he said, you know, America is such a nice country. I mean, in India, I could get no support. No one wanted to even listen, what to speak of helping me with my mission. But America gave me everything. America gave me good manpower and a lot of resources, finances, everything I got in America. Americans are very nice people. Only if they could stop killing cows. He said, I can understand, okay, they're very much attached to meat eating. But there are so many other animals they could eat. Only if they could stop killing cows. That would be the best thing. So, and Prabhupada was indicating that for some people, yesterday we had Bhakti Vaibhav class and we discussed with the devotees, because, you know, intelligence has to be applied according to time and circumstances, and preaching, for example, four regulative principles, and of course, you know, no meat is very important principle for spiritual advancement. But how would you preach to people if you go to Eskimos, for example? And Eskimos, I mean, there is nothing growing there. You know, meat is the only thing they eat there, and if they stop eating meat, they will die, right? So how would you make Eskimos Krishna conscious if you are sent there? So it's not such an easy situation. So we need to understand what the circumstances of the people are and what are realistic standards they can follow. Maybe for Eskimos, if they, you know, at least reduce meat eating, that would be big step forward for them, etc. But of course, the first thing we give is positive alternative, right? We encourage people to chant Hare Krishna mantra, or chant, as Prabhupada says, any name of God. And so, yeah, Satyadaya Tapashuchi, these are the pillars of Dharma, and of course, the pivot of Dharma is serving and glorifying the Supreme Lord. And even Buddhism officially is defined as non-theistic religion. That's Kali Yuga phenomenon. We have non-theistic religions. It's a religion, people worship, but there is no God. You know, you just come to the altar and it's empty. So, but also in Buddhism, Prabhupada says, Lord Buddha came to bewilder atheists, and so he said, don't worship God, but they worship Lord Buddha, and Lord Buddha is God. And so they are advancing in such a way. And so if someone is sincerely practicing Buddhism, they will advance also. Even though this is non-theistic religion, there is no God there at all. And I remember one time we were going in Singapore, and of course Singapore is heavily Buddhist country, and we got a taxi, and the taxi I sat in front, and taxi driver was obviously a Buddhist. He had a Buddha statue at the front, at his dashboard, and that Buddha statue had a flower. So I realized that it's not just for fashion. He actually worships this murti. And I expressed my appreciation. I said, this is very nice that you're worshiping Lord Buddha. He said, yes, Lord Buddha is very dear to me. And I really want to be serious about my Buddhism. And I said, there are so many people in here And they claim to be Buddhist, but they don't practice anything. So you are a very rare personality who actually practices. And so he was surprised. He said, "Are you Buddhist monk?" I said, "No, I am not Buddhist monk. I'm a Hare Krishna monk. I worship Krishna." He said, "Strange, you're worshiping Krishna, but you're encouraging me to worship Buddha." I said, "Yes, because this is your tradition. You really like doing that, so I should help you. I should encourage you." And he said, "Well, this is very rare, because if my passengers, they belong to some religion, they always try to preach to me, they always try to convert me into their religion." He said, "Recently I had few Christians in my car, and all the way they were preaching to me. And because I didn't want to argue with them, I just wanted to be polite. I was saying, yes, yes, very good. And they came to the conclusion that I got converted." And in the end of the journey, they said, "Very good, brother, now you are a proper Christian, and you have to spread the good news to other people." And so he said, they gave me a bunch of the leaflets to distribute to passengers. And he said, "I don't want to do that, but I understand it's connected to God, and I don't want to throw it away. What do I do?" I told him, "Don't throw it away, but don't distribute anything. Just take it, put it somewhere in some visible place. Whoever wants, let them take. And in this way, you won't be offensive, but you won't be obliged." And he said, "Well, this is a very good idea. I'll do like this." And then he was asking, "But how do I advance spiritually?" I told him, most important thing is knowledge. Listen to some knowledgeable people, listen to some classes, read scriptures, and also holy name is very powerful way to advance. If you chant the holy name, that will definitely help you. And so our journey came to the end, and he said, "I don't want to take any money from you, because you really helped me. Rather, I will give you money." And so he pulled out $20 and he gave me a donation. I guess that's transcendental taxi, right? You take a ride and then driver pays you at the end. But I was thinking, if I would be fanatically trying to make him into Hare Krishna, so in his mind, we will be non-different from all these fanatical Christians, Muslims, or whoever else. But because I tried to make personal connection with him, he really appreciated. And then if he will talk about devotees with somebody else, devotees will stand out in his mind. So, but I haven't done anything special. I just followed Prabhupada's guidance in this regard. And so it's just, to indicate how important it is for us to take seriously what Prabhupada said and try to follow his guidelines. All right, anyone else? Okay, Prabhu was first, and then microphone is coming, because we have broadcasting. It's not working anyway.
Did you give him a book at the end, or do you think that would have been appropriate?
Well, we didn't give him a book, no, because he didn't express any interest towards Krishna consciousness per se, so that means he was not inclined, so why would we push something people are not inclined
I just
to?
thought as a gift because he gave you money, but if you thought it was inappropriate, then yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we actually didn't have books. Yeah, it would be nice to give him something, but we didn't have books with us. Prabhu, in front. Yeah, if you could pass.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, in the context, since you have already quoted about the Buddhism, I want to raise one small question on Buddhism. Actually, there is always in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 26, purport, in the purport, it was clearly mentioned that there is always a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists, who do not believe in the separate existence of soul beyond the body. Actually, according to the list of incarnations, Lord Buddha is also one of the incarnations. As mentioned in the Bhagavatam, Lord Buddha is also one of the incarnations. So followed the Buddhism, because since we are following the Krishna consciousness, we are almost trying to be restricted to certain levels. Similarly, the Buddhism also is that Buddhism follows also there. If that is the case, why actually the Buddhism started when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas only. So why the Buddhism, when the Lord Buddha is the incarnation, why the Buddhists do not believe the existence of the soul and they do not realize the soul?
Yeah, when we speak of Buddhism, same like when we speak about followers of Lord Chaitanya, for example, right? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a book, Apasampradaya Swarupa. There are 13 deviant sects which claim to follow Lord Chaitanya. They all say we are followers of Lord Chaitanya, but they don't follow principles, they don't do many things, and some of them are actually impersonal, even though they're the followers of Lord Chaitanya. And so we can understand that every tradition has unlimited variety of, groups. And so amongst Buddhism is also same. It ranges from totally impersonal and atheistic to so personal, at least this is in relation to most groups connected to Pure Land Buddhism. They are so personal that they worship Buddha as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're pure vegetarians, no meat, no onion and garlic also. And they chant the holy name of Lord Buddha. And all the food they eat, they have to offer to the deity of Buddha. So it's like Buddhist Bhakti or something. So yeah, in relation to every tradition, there is almost unlimited variety of people, unlimited variety of standards and consciousness. And so, when we speak about Buddhism or Islam or anything, we really need to know which Buddhism, which Islam, who are the people. It's like very interesting example related to the most aggressive part of Islam, which contributes to all these terrorist activities and killing so many people, etc. They're called Wahhabi or Salafi Muslims. Practically every single terrorist group on the planet is belonging to that part of Islam. So, and I was thinking, do we have amongst them, do we have normal people? And then I found one professor, university professor, who actually belongs to Wahhabi, Salafi group, but then he says everything all these terrorists are doing, complete speculation, complete misinterpretation of Wahhabi teaching. We're supposed to be peaceful, we're supposed to be respectful, we're supposed to live in harmony. And he is preaching it very openly. And then, one of the, he was sentenced, of course, by correspondence. He was sentenced to death by ISIS for preaching something which goes against their views. That how he dares, he's Wahhabi, but he says we should be peaceful. And he laughs, he said, I deserve the honor of being the first Wahhabi who was sentenced to death by ISIS. So even amongst these kind of, fanatics, there are normal people. There are intelligent people. And so that's why my conviction is that instead of putting people in boxes, we should really see who people are and deal with them on personal basis. At the very end, Krishna consciousness is supposed to be personal. And we're supposed to learn how to treat others as persons rather than, putting tags on them, rubber stamping, okay, you are this, you are that, etc. then I think we'll be more successful if we use personal approach. All right, so we'll finish here. Thank you all very much. If anyone has any questions, you can do personally. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.